This video is brought to you by MPEC Printery, specializing in t-shirt printing, posters, and shipping from the USA. Call 876-775-6692 or 876-337-7374. Andy Gone Nuts, 100% guaranteed fresh coconut water delivered straight to your door. Call 876-309-6128. That's 876-309-6128. Refreshing and affordable. For more information, follow them on Instagram at Andy Gone Nuts. Truly refreshing. And Crumble by Mrs. C. Old English fudge and other delectable sweet treats. Call or WhatsApp 876-586-0471. That's 876-586-0471. This video is also brought to you by BLC Jamaica Security Electronics, specializing in alarm system, video surveillance, camera system or CCTV, barrier system, gate automation, and access control. Call 876-320-7711. That's 876-320-7711 or 876-351-1105. That's 876-351-1105. Hello everyone, I'm Simon Preston and welcome back to Reggae Boys Commentary. Yes folks, this is the channel where we come together to discuss everything in relation to Jamaican football. This is your hub for everything Jamaican football related. So folks, let's talk about a matter that has been on people's minds for quite some time, something that has been heavily discussed and spoken about, and I think it's imperative that with this situation into the microscope that we delve a little bit deeper and go a little bit further into the matter. So let's start, shall we? So a video was posted with the Prime Minister of Jamaica, Andrew Holness, doing a video in relation to his thoughts about the World Cup and him explaining and enjoying the upsets, the thrills, the spills, everything, and Lionel Messi and what he has done to the beautiful game. And he went to speak about Jamaica as well, and I'm going to talk about this over the next few minutes. Now, for everybody's aware, the Prime Minister of Jamaica is a Liverpool fan. He is a ardent, staunch, committed, erudite Liverpool fan. That's the team that he supports, Liverpool. So now that you're aware of that, let's get right into the matter now. He made the point that he remembers what happened 25 years ago. Well, he said November 17, 1997. It was actually November 16, 1997, the day of qualification. And the day after, we know what happened. The day after was the day when it was declared a public holiday. But the day Jamaica qualified was November 16, not November 17. Detonation, hope you're doing good. Enough respect, big up yourself. So, now that we have that clear, let's now look at another factor, shall we? And for this, we're going to look specifically at what was said. He said, watching the World Cup, basically saying his team is not there, and that team being Jamaica, and he said we should do our best to get there the next time around 2026. So let me start by saying this. Jamaica has been to World Cups under his tutelage as Prime Minister of Jamaica. In fact, October 17, 2018 was a day that no Jamaican should ever forget, and that's when the Reggae Girls qualified for the World Cup on a Wednesday evening in Texas. That same evening, the Prime Minister of Jamaica was on the phone. That same evening, the Prime Minister of Jamaica was on the phone on a current affairs program. And when the current affairs program host on television asked him the question if we'll get the public holiday tomorrow, he said no. He said no. Let's move further on, shall we? Jamaica is competing in the 2022 FIFA World Cup qualifiers. All right? And you know what happens? Let me give you a bit of perspective on things. Let's do it, shall we? Because you have countries in the world, such as England, the United States, France, Germany, and guess what? Well, I'll show you exactly what I'm referring to right now. You guys will specifically see what I'm seeing and bring it up on your screen right now. Shamar Gordon, up. Hope you're doing good. This on your screen right now are the COVID numbers. And if you look on that list at number 9, you see UK. So the United Kingdom, and by extension England, was one of the worst hit places in the entire world for COVID. Cases, deaths, and daily rates. Worst hit. And despite all of that, despite all of the talks and the lockdowns and the high COVID rates and the high death rates caused by COVID, you know what happened? 90,000 fans showed up at Wembley and entered Wembley for the European Championship final between England and Italy. 90,000 fans turned up. Fans in their numbers turned out to Major League Soccer in the United States, the worst hit country in the world caused by due to COVID. Major League Soccer, Major League Baseball, NHL, NFL. We could go on, and those stands were packed and brimmed to capacity. And when Jamaica had seven home games in the World Cup qualifiers, Jamaica only had one game with fans before Jamaica were automatically eliminated from contention. The last two home games was the last time where the games were open to the public. The last two games, El Salvador and Honduras, and you all will remember that. Let's jog back, shall we? Panama at home, the 3-0 loss, no fans allowed, just media. The second game against Canada, no fans were allowed. The third home game was against, the United States of America, and 5,000 fans were allowed for that game. Coming into the new year, Jamaica had Mexico, Costa Rica at home, Panama away, El Salvador, Honduras at home, and Canada away. 6 games, 4 of them at home. 4 to 5 wins would have cemented Jamaica within the top 3. And guess what? In a crucial part of the campaign in January, of 2022, 11 months ago, no fans were accepted at the stadium. Yet look at our neighbors to the north, to the south, to the east, to the west. And guess what? When you look all across our neighbors in the region, and also to the north in the United States, across the Atlantic in England, countries that are worse hit by COVID than Jamaica, they had fans to their capacity in the stands. And all we could have was just a few journalists at the game. How can we say that we really gave Jamaica, the Reggae Boys, their best chance of qualifying? How can we say that we supported them and gave them moral support if we were not with them in the stands? How can we say, and we can go on and on about COVID rate and this, and people are not wearing their mask, and this and that, 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 and this and that. We can go on and on about it. We're trying to get our country to the World Cup, a World Cup that will get 9 million people for 9 million US dollars for the Jamaica Football Federation, a portion which will eventually get towards the government of Jamaica at some point. So why can't we think long term and not myopic about this sort of situation and others? If fans were in those stands, it's not an opinion, it is a fact, a cold hard fact that Jamaica have gotten 3 points against the Americans, 3 points against the Mexicans, 3 points against the Costa Ricans. So you right now add 8 points to what Jamaica accumulated in the qualifiers, and you see where Jamaica would stand up right now within the qualifiers itself. And you'll exactly see where I'm going, where this is concerned, because of how things sort of turned out within the qualifiers from a Jamaican standpoint. We cannot say that we gave our Jamaican team the best chance of qualifying for Qatar when the 12th man was not there. The 12th man is so critical, yet it was never used. And I'm telling you, Jamaica finished with 11 points. You add 8 points to it, yeah? That's 19. You follow what I'm saying? You take away those 3 points from Costa Rica, they go to 22. You take away those 3 points from Mexico, right? They go to 25. You take away those 2 points, well, that 1 point from the United States, they go to 24. Jamaica would there be on 19 and Panama on 21, right? We go and beat Panama away because of the momentum that we would have. And bam, 22 points right there. And we're in contention for fourth position. All because of fans. Anybody in this island can tell you how much the 12th man played a massive impact in the campaign. From the semi-final round, the preliminaries, they will tell you. They will tell you themselves. They will tell you. They will tell you that it's critically important to have those fans in the stands. Did they get the support? No. Not in my opinion. So the Prime Minister has made the point that he would like us to try to get to 2026. Mr. Prime Minister, with all due respect, to get to 2026, the country is going to need the support. The Federation is going to need the support, and we're going to need fans back in the stands. I know COVID in 2022, 2023, well, when the qualifiers start 2024, 2025, may not be the same COVID just like we had in 2020. And I can fully understand that. But this argument that COVID is the reason why we're not having fans in the stands and safety, I don't think that's an argument even in 2021 when we've had Panama at home in our first home game of the qualifiers. It's not fair. It really isn't fair. Is it the reason why Jamaica didn't qualify for the World Cup? It's one of them. It's one of the main reasons why Jamaica didn't qualify for the World Cup. And if I'm being completely frank and honest with you, it's one of the top 3 reasons. And the players have echoed this statement immensely. Paul Hall echoed the statement immensely. Damien Lowe echoed this statement immensely. Adrian Mariappa echoed this statement immensely as well. Liam Moore literally cried that he couldn't play in front of home support. This man has never ever played in front of home crowd before. The United States game was a trickle in 5,000 compared to in a 30,000 seat stadium. That's 16% of the stadium being full. That's less than half. I can understand not having 30,000 fans in the stands for the qualifiers, but if you put 15,000 in there, I'm telling you, that place is rocking. That place is rocking. There were 17,000 fans for the Gold Cup game against Honduras in 2019, and when Deva Orgil scored that goal, I'm telling you, the ground beneath me shook. It shook. It literally shook. I'm telling you guys. So the Prime Minister said that we should strive to get to 2026. Well, if I'm being completely frank and honest with you, Mr. Prime Minister, if we're going to get to 2026, we're going to need your support. We're going to need the ministry. And the sports minister has said publicly that the most money goes to football and not track and field. Fine. But money is one aspect, but moral support is another aspect as well. The sports minister is always at the airport whenever one of our track and field athletes arrives back on the island. But where is she when the Reggae Boys comes back and arrives at Norman Manley whenever they finish a match or a tournament or anything of that nature? We've had national teams that have qualified for world tournaments, and yet where is she to be found? Does that mean that her press officer needs to be more informed of this? Well, certainly her press officer needs to be more aware that there's more to life than football and track and field, because we have many national teams that have competed on the world stage. This year, 2022 alone, Jamaica's competed at a Women's Lacrosse World Cup, a Rugby Sevens World Cup, and also a Rugby League World Cup. And next year, Jamaica is going to be at a Netball World Cup, Jamaica is going to be at a Women's World Cup, and Jamaica is going to be at a Lacrosse World Cup as well. So just let that sink in right there. Just let that sink in. And I hope that everybody bears that in mind. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope everyone is doing well. Good afternoon, one love. So the PM didn't back them this last campaign and the campaign before that. What kind of input is he willing to put forth this time around? Words mean nothing. As I've been told by many people throughout the course of my life, actions speak louder than words, and actions are where we're going to have to be. Actions is where we're going to have to go. As I've said, guys, I'm speaking absolutely the facts at this point in time. Absolute facts. There was only fans at one home game in the qualifiers, which was the USA game, and the last two games, the El Salvador game and the Honduras game, Jamaica were already eliminated and didn't stand a chance even at fourth position. So if you want to be technical about it, there were fans at one home game. And why the backward step? Why is it that there were fans at the United States game in November, but come January against Costa Rica and Mexico, there were no fans in the stands? And yet, when the Canadians took on Jamaica, in Jamaica, there were Canadian flags in the stands with Canadians. Honestly, I just view it, and I'm just very livid and frustrated and irate and absolutely cross about the matter. And I feel like I'm going to chip right now. But honestly, we need to understand that and realize that football and sports by extension, I want everybody to see me when I say this right now. Football and sports by extension is not recreation, it is an industry. Sports is an industry. And specific sport of football by itself is an industry. Football is an industry by itself. No longer is it recreation. How can we be happy? How can we be happy when somebody is taking home 30,000 Jamaican a week playing football in this country? How can we be happy with that? We call that acceptable? 30,000 Jamaican dollars a week? That's somebody's grocery bill. Can you put gas in the car for 2 weeks for that? How can we find that acceptable? How? Disgrace. Absolute disgrace. To think that we view something of that nature as acceptable. There needs to be proper accountability. Proper accountability. We cannot tolerate slackness and foolishness anymore. This needs to stop once and for all. This needs to end now. We cannot be going into 2025 and then you're pledging support. I appreciate the words, and I'm sure the fellow Jamaicans appreciate the words of the Prime Minister that he would like to see Jamaica in USA, Canada, and Mexico. All of us, all 3 million people in the country, and then the 4 million people in the diaspora would love to see Jamaica at the next World Cup, of course. But how are we going to get there? Well, quite simply, we have to finish in the top 3. Okay, how do we finish in the top 3? Well, proper preparation to ensure that this is done properly. The fans need to be connected to the team. Do you know how much times I'm at the stadium and they say, oh, who wear that number 9 jersey there? Oh, who wear that number 16 jersey there? In one part of me, I said to myself, maybe they don't watch the championship. Maybe they don't watch the championship or watch English Premier League. But in another breath, I'm like, there's not even enough home games for the fans to get to know these players better. And that's the truth of the matter. That is the real truth about the matter. And it's not something that something that needs to change. So what is my point? The Prime Minister said he says he would like to see the country at the next World Cup. So do I. So does every other person in this country would like to see Jamaica at a World Cup. But we're going to start to see fans in the stands. And I'm sorry that sort of support of the words was not necessarily replicated with the actions of ensuring that fans were in the stands. I raised a suggestion, and that suggestion was not used. I said outside of the stadium, every fan that has a ticket, you go to a rapid antigen test, and if you're negative, you go inside with your ticket. If you're positive, you go your yard. And I think that is absolutely fair. You do the antigen test outside the stadium, right? And if you're positive, you go your yard. If you're negative, walk in and go enjoy the game and cheer on the boys. One of the top 3 reasons why Jamaica did not qualify for Qatar is because of this very reason, not having fans. We need to start treating sports as an industry. That's what needs to happen right now. First sign of support is we need the next football stadium specific, preferably out East St. Mary, Portland, St. Thomas, or even the next stadium on North Coast in Ochi. All right, wicked man, Chris. Let me be completely frank with you. So the Prime Minister has the different ministries: Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Youth, Ministry of Culture, Ministry of different ministries. So those matters would be delegated to the Minister of Sport. The Minister of Sport is Olivia Grange. And the minister, the sports ministry also works with the SDF, which is the Sports Development Foundation. So these two would be critical in terms of the suggestion that you've raised right here. The development has to start and things have to be put in place in January so that a solid base can be there. To be honest, Odell Denny, you've said all the right things. And the fact is that 2023 is literally a few weeks away. And late 2024, early 2025 are the qualifiers. So already, you know that time, while there may be a little bit of time, it's not a whole lot. This government means nothing to Jamaican football. Remember 98 World Cup, the same government fight against the holiday when we qualified? I think it was the Orange Party that was in power, though. So it's not true. The current party in power is not the current party in power is not the party that was in power when Jamaica qualified in 97. That's not true. The party that was in power was the Orange Party. The PM is using the euphoria of the World Cup for political mileage. Portia Simpson Miller never missed a match at the stadium, never. Home or away. She gave real support as PM and sports minister. It was evident and it was clear. And with Captain Horace Burrell, if he needed something, he would go to Portia Simpson Miller. And after that, she would talk to PJ Patterson at the time. And in 2-2s, bam, they got what they needed. Done and dusted. Not in Jamaica. Music and sports is viewed as a waste of time if young man or young lady says she wants to be a pro baller, play basketball, enjoy or singer or whatever. It's lockdown. Wicked man Chris, 30,000 Jamaican dollars a month is unacceptable. Unacceptable to play in the JPL. Even Major League to get that a month. Terrible. Playing Major League, you shouldn't get less. You shouldn't get less than 100,000 a month. What is the PM doing to help Jamaican football? I don't want to hear talks. I want to see action, says MPEC TV. And like I've said before, MPEC, actions speak louder than words. Actions speak louder than words. So that tells you everything that you need right there. Everything that you need right there. Actions speak louder than words. So yes, you want to see Jamaica at the next World Cup. So do I. So do you, MPEC. So does everybody in this entire country. Everybody wants to see Jamaica at the next World Cup. And we're already making plans for the next World Cup and getting giddy because it's going to be in our backyard, literally in US or Canada or Mexico. And it's going to be an easy plane ride over. So, and basically, We already have family in the States, and if anyhow Jamaica is based in a city in East Coast USA, whether it's Miami or Fort Lauderdale or Orlando or New York or New Jersey or Philly or Boston, we just get excited because we know already, so we're gonna run the place. That is Jamaica is going to be everybody's second favorite team at that World Cup. Forget Brazil. Jamaica is going to be everybody's second favorite team at that next World Cup. So if we want to make it happen, create a legacy, create something that people will never ever forget for their entire lives, create something that is going to bring the foreign exchange to Jamaica, something that's going to bring the interest, the desire, the focus to Jamaican football. That is what is going to carry us to that next sort of level. When it work and the money start coming, them look is change. If this World Cup was an eye opener to them, seeing that so many underdogs, so to speak, perform well, I appreciate that much. No time to work, build proper fields for players to play. That's one aspect of it, absolutely. We don't get paid for home games. Yeah, that's true. And I'm going to piggyback on a point that Mr. Blake is making right here. Prime Minister, take up your phone call. Take up your phone call. Ivan Toney, Baker, Godfrey, Holgate, McNeil, Damari Gray, Type Mitchell, Aarons, Dan Byrne, Lloyd Kelly, Jacob Ramsey, Cameron Archer, and invite them to apply for citizenship. That is a start. That is a massive, massive good start. That is a massive good start. And then if the Prime Minister agrees to this, I will personally help him get the contact information that he needs. Personally. Prime Minister, if you do this, I'll personally help you. And if you do this, I promise you, 90% of those names in that list that Mr. Blake has mentioned will accept the call readily. Right? The next thing is this. Another way to help. It's quite simple, this. The Prime Minister is the most powerful man in the land, the most powerful man in this entire country. So you know what that means, folks? If somebody's passport is still lagging, he can pick up the phone and call PICA to expedite the process. Fast track it. It's time to use the power for Jamaican football. We'd even play games often enough as a whole, not just home games, yeah. And here's the thing too about this point. If the Prime Minister does these, I know it might sound political, but he might gain some followers with this. Might gain some followers if he does just this. Because people see that he's taking an interest in football and sports and say, okay, I'm going to have to support him. That is what is going to be done in some sectors. Look how much fans watching schoolboy football. Yes, Simon, it was, yeah. Yeah. 30K should be what the schoolboy them or the youth them team get from their clubs. Yeah, the under 18 man them, and the under 21 players at the clubs. Yeah, bus fare, transportation, taxi to go to and from stadium, to and from training with their clubs, and also lunch/dinner before and after training. I think that's reasonable for the youth players in the club. Instruct the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and High Commission to put in place a process for players that is fast track and left them office, go visit EPL clubs, assist players with documents and completing form. And this is not only for reggae boys, but also reggae girls and all other sporting disciplines as well. Every single sporting discipline where a Jamaican puts on that black, green, and gold and goes on the field, court, in the pool, wherever, same procedure. Same procedure. I can't remember the last time the stadium being full. We'd have to go back to March 2013. March 2013, Jamaica took on Panama. The match ended 1-1, and the stadium was rammed that day, literally over 35,000. Instruct PICA to prioritize their applications for professional footballers. Yep. So I would more than happy if PICA prioritizes the professional footballers over the average Joe that is just renewing their passport. That could wait another week. I'm not saying that the average Jamaican is not important or not deserving, but this is the priority at this point in time. They're doing service for the country. So why shouldn't this be given the level of praxis, of priority that it deserves? All right. Two outstanding young ladies have received scholarships to go and represent the University of District Columbia, 2 national women's lacrosse players. And guess what? Within a day, done and dusted, passport and visa. Why can't it be done for football as well? Minimum, the wage bill should be minimum $1,000 for squad players and minimum 1,500 for starting team. That would be brilliant, that would be absolutely brilliant. And I know that there would be more effort from players to turn up to training on time and so on and so forth. Because if you talk to players right now, not many of them turn to training on time. Patrick Riley says he needs to give the JFF a stadium. 10K schoolboys get from clubs in the Premier League. Yeah, I know some clubs, the more established clubs are getting 15, but yeah, usually we're talking about 10. Yeah. Not just football, sport persons in general. That is absolutely right. Instruct the Attorney General to write, this is from Mr. Blake, instruct the Attorney General to write the JFF and inform them that the quota system for on the 2017 and 15 teams is unconstitutional, offensive, and against the government of Jamaica stated diaspora policy. It is unconstitutional. That is absolutely right. And in many ways, this can also be referred to as prejudice. So that is something that has to be highlighted. If Zane Scarlett is overlooked, that is considered prejudice. Zane Scarlett, yeah. I'm seeing 10 grand a schoolboy them I get. Yeah. All sporting disciplines. Whether it's football, cricket, athletics, rugby league, rugby union, lacrosse, floorball, tennis, table tennis, basketball, badminton, every sport. Cataract, Powell, where did I play for Sutton United and I seen to Germany, the man stop play ball and walk in a hotel and then bring him back for play D Cup. He's a young and upper. Kamali Powell, I know. Disappointing, trust me. The man was in Germany. Doing great things. Anyways, I agree with every point you have made today. Thank you, Mr. Blake. And the comments that you made in relation to Omar Holness, in relation to the comments that the coach made about Junior Flemings, I should say, they're valid, and I'm in agreement with you there. My understanding is that it's not an attitude problem, but it's the other point that you raised. It's not the attitude problem. Why did they say quota? Well, based on a conversation that I had with Howard McIntosh when he was part of the technical committee, he said at the under 17 and under 15 level, 70% of the Jamaica's national team at under 17 and under 15 level will be made up of players that were born, raised, and ply their trade within Jamaica. It's only the talk, Simon. When we need the fans in the stadium, he didn't allow it. But it was acceptable for track and field. Jesus Christ, man. A high school track and field event. No. A high school track and field event. Gibson McCook relays with fans in their stands. Champs with fans in the stands. Yet reggae boys that need the fan support and the victories to get over the line. No. Foolishness, if you ask me. Jaja Unseen star 10 grand for the schoolboy. I joke that. That's 2.5 a week. So that's basically transportation to training, and maybe them can buy a patty. Literally. That's the situation. Yeah. Back in Mobay. So yeah, that's the situation. Frustrated. Yeah, man, Cataract last night, I see it, my show fresh shock too. A serious thing. This is what we need to protect schoolboy from being the pinnacle of football. Meanwhile, Cameron Park ram every day from June 2020, from the beginning of COVID, ram with fans. However, Mr. Blake, what the sports minister, Minister Granger, said is that horse racing is not under the Ministry of Sports, it's under the Ministry of Finance. So take that as it were. Andre Bailey says, Simon for JFF advisor. Mr. Prime Minister, instruct Minister of Finance to provide all registered footballers with a 20% duty concession for the importation of one motor vehicle every 5 years. Interesting. People gamble off the horses. And that's why Sports Minister Green said that it's under the Ministry of Finance and not of course, the Ministry of, like I said. So yeah, that's the situation, folks. I'm eager to see what you guys will have to say about the matter, though. So many things can be done. And I don't think any of these things are unrealistic. Probably the 20% duty on the commission of the importation of motor vehicle might take some time. But apart from that, all the other points that Mr. Blake has made mention about are something that are realistic, that can happen within a steady time frame. So for me, that's how I feel about the matter. But folks, I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say as well. I've been rambling for the past 36 minutes, and that's the situation. This is how I feel. So if you could gamble off the ball of the Ministry of Finance, I'm going to make the footballers team. Oh boy, I tell you. Heard Babsy, and that has to be the most done statement ever made. What does which ministry horse racing have to do with the transmission of COVID? Interesting. Well, can't beat him on that one. I believe that we should have the quality players from Jamaica in under 15, under 17 with open arms for any Jamaican overseas. I hear what you're saying, Unseen Sports TV. I hear what you're saying. But at the end of the day, I want the best team to take the field. Not just because you're born in Jamaica, for me, means that you should suit up. I think the best team takes the field no matter what. Even if it means Andre Blake and 10 English-born players. For me, the best team takes the field. When we look back in time, are we going to say, when we say Jamaica go to a quarterfinals of the 2026 World Cup, are we going to say, boy, Jamaica did have 20 out of them, 23 ball of them born in England? Are we going to say that? No. We're going to say Jamaica made it to the quarterfinals of the 2026 World Cup. We're not going to say England B, England C, England D. Cameron Eubank, look out for him quite soon. All right, folks. Thanks for tuning in. More videos to come. Exclusive interview to come your way as well. All right. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Reggae Boys Commentary for more content, folks.
This video is brought to you by MPEC Printery, specializing in t-shirt printing, posters, and shipping from the USA. Call 876-775-6692 or 876-337-7374. Andy Gone Nuts. 100% guaranteed fresh coconut water delivered straight to your door. Call 876-309-6128. That's 876-309-6128. Refreshing and affordable. For more information, follow them on Instagram at Andy Gone Nuts. Truly refreshing. And Crumble by Mrs. C. Old English fudge and other delectable sweet treats. Call or WhatsApp 876-586-0471. That's 876-586-0471. This video is also brought to you by BLC Jamaica Security Electronics, specializing in alarm system, video surveillance, camera system or CCTV, barrier system, gate automation, and access control. Call 876-320-7711. That's 876-320-7711 or 876-351-1105. That's 876-351-1105.